Okay, hi everyone. So Daryl here. This is lesson 29 in my Investing 101 YouTube playlist. So today we're going to talk about consumer price index. It's actually an extension of our previous lesson, which was inflation and deflation. And this particular lesson will be pretty short. Okay. So definitely after I spoke about inflation and deflation, then a lot of people will say, how do you actually measure inflation and deflation? So for many countries, right, what they do is that they use consumer price index, and what it does is that it measures the weighted average of a basket of goods and services. And in Singapore, we also do that. And to another place where I'm quite familiar with, like Bangkok and Thailand, yeah, they also use uh, a certain consumer price index to measure inflation. And so what it does is that it pulls together a basket of goods and services. So maybe like transportation, maybe transportation is included, housing is included, then like food cost is included as well. So and all these are weighted based on their importance. So if let's say like housing is very important, so the index will have a larger percentage of it will depend on housing. So it's weighted based on the importance. So if maybe something like maybe education may have lesser importance as compared to housing. So education will take on less weightage in the CPI calculation. Okay, and it generally measures the cost of living. And so a lot of people, actually there are some, if you go and search on like cost of living, then there is also this very interesting thing whereby on the internet you can find this Big Mac index. That means that you go to different countries and they actually tell you how much does a Big Mac cost, and then based on this, right, they actually can tell you which city is more expensive and which city is cheaper, but just based on the cost of Big Mac. But that is not an accurate depiction of consumer price index and inflation and deflation and general pricing in the over across like many countries. But that's just one example of how people are trying to compare uh, cost of living between various countries or various cities. Okay, so understand that CPI is actually a benchmark to measure inflation and deflation, and investors, why I'm trying to put this in together with inflation and deflation is because investors must understand that there are other factors that make up consumer spending. So if let's say you understand that there's a basket of goods that measures cost of living, and then if let's say housing takes up a large chunk of it, and then maybe like food and transportation also a significant chunk, then investors must understand that uh, if cost of living goes up beyond what is uh, I mean goes up many levels, right? Then the CPI will actually start going up, and cost of living will go up. But what people will do is that they may also compromise on uh, spending on other things. So that means a lot of people may be paying a lot for their housing, and then after that they need to cut back on their other things in the basket of goods and services. Like maybe they may cut back on consumer spending, they may cut back on food, they may cut back on transportation. So it's important to understand that cost of living encompasses a lot of things. And if you read in the papers that maybe uh, purchases in cars are or car prices are falling, then the general market in the food and beverage industry is not doing well, then it puts everything into perspective that why is it that you are expecting housing prices to continue going up. Okay, so sometimes you can as investors you all should look at like the CPI, you should look at inflation and deflation figures, and then try to understand where the market is going before you put your money into a property or put your money into the stock market. So it's just all these things for these two lessons, right? Inflation, deflation, and CPI, right? They're just here to let investors know that yeah, there are other factors to account for when you are looking at investing in certain things, and you should take a more holistic view of the market before going in. Okay, so that's all for me for this lesson, and I'll see you in the next video.